Yo, what's going on, fellas? SixPathsDunga back again with another reaction video. So as you guys all know, chapter 28 is about to drop sometime next week. You know, we're gonna get the spoilers, the sneak peeks and all that. I hope you're ready because I'm ready. I gotta get all your hot takes and predictions out. I'm gonna get it out by the 8th or the 9th. I want to do one more video and then we're gonna start off with that. It might be this video, it might be another video. I'm still planning, all right? Because as you guys know, when the new chapter drops, most of my video ideas get refreshed with new ones and they just get burrowed down into the dark abyss of videos I never did. But anyway, I got linked to this video. It seems pretty interesting, so I said, you know what? I thought I'd give it a watch, you know? I'm not doing nothing right now. I'm bored, so you know what? We're gonna react to some Boruto. And I was thinking about doing these type of things on live stream, you know? I just go live and start reacting to different videos and you guys can give your input on the video with me. Is that a bad idea? I don't think it's a bad idea. You know, let me know in the comment section if you guys would like to see that, you know, me going live and reacting to videos. I would like to do it, so if you guys want to see it, let me know in the comment section down below. I'll probably make something work, you know? So what do we got right here? Jougan and Boruto's battle against Kawaki isn't real? Question mark? Exclamation point. The truth behind Boruto's blade. Now, we reacted to like 3 videos on Boruto's blade. Now, maybe 2. I think this will be the 3rd one. So the latter half of the title isn't really that interesting because we've been there, done that. I'm ready for chapter 28 to drop so we can actually see it. But this part right here, Jougan and Boruto's battle against Kawaki isn't real. We're gonna see exactly what he's talking about. So before we get started, Shark Anime, I'm going to leave the link to his channel down below in the description. So make sure you guys go check him out. Really good content creator, and he uploads consistently. That's all you could pretty much ask for, to be honest. But yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video.
There's something wrong with Boruto's sword, or perhaps more accurately, the scene at the...
And by the way, I seen the comments on the audio mixing, you guys saying the video was too low compared to my voice. I tried to make the audio mixing better, you know, raise up the volume of the video, not too much, but to the point where the video doesn't overpower my voice. Let me know how this is. Is it too loud, too quiet?
Boruto and Kawaki is not real. Yeah, I'm Nim without an E. Let's talk for a moment about Sumire and some other clues. Actually, this makes enough sense to answer the mystery behind the fight scene between Kawaki and Boruto at the Hokage statue, and also the destruction of Konoha. First and foremost, it all started with the scene in chapter 27.
Right now, at the current moment, I believe, or I came to the conclusion that what he gave Sumire right here is Otsutsuki technology. Now, it only makes sense because of his deal with Momoshiki. We gotta correlate it with that. Boruto goes to make a deal with Momoshiki. Boruto hands Sumire a scroll from the future. Like I said, Boruto is creating a timeline where he's making himself stronger to match Kawaki's crazy power. He know Kawaki's about to get another power buff because he's seen it from 10 directions. So he has to match or even surpass that power that Kawaki's about to get. What better way to do it than to form an alliance with Momoshiki and upgrade your blade, you know? So like I said, those are the 2 upgrades that's going to put Boruto back in the upper echelon of strong characters in the series, you know what I mean? So I mean, these past few chapters, I say from chapter 21 on to now, some of y'all been playing with Boruto. I'm not gonna lie, some of y'all been playing. He's been surpassed by Kawaki. Jura has just destroyed him. You know, I mean, come on, y'all see it. Y'all see it. He needs a power buff, and I'm pretty sure you guys all know it's about to come soon. We're about to see it in this arc right here, so I'm hoping you guys are prepared. But yeah, the blade right here is going to have to do something with the Karma Seal. We just don't know yet. And actually, the scene where Boruto and Kawaki was fighting at the end of the series kind of shows it a little bit. I want to see if he mentions it in the video before I mention it. So I guess, yeah, let's just keep going.
Really didn't expect Sumire to be the character who would help Boruto repair his sword, and that it would actually increase his power. It doesn't rule out the fact that one assumption I believe is also quite reasonable is Orochimaru. What I mean is, after we learned that Boruto's sword was damaged in the middle of his battle against Jura because of his middle finger, Orochimaru is the character who is suspected of repairing the sword. And based on several sources, we know that it is the sword that Sasuke obtained after he became Orochimaru's student long before the Boruto era. Is that right? We also know that to enhance the sword's abilities, Sasuke made several modifications.
But wait, so the sword that Sasuke used at the beginning of Shippuden is called the Sword of Kusanagi, This sword is different though. This is not the same sword he used in the beginning of Shippuden, and a lot of people know that. It wasn't stated specifically why he stopped using it, or if it's just like the same blade but different hilt. Because I have to admit, it is pretty often that people change the hilt of the sword, keeping the same blade. But it was never specified what Sasuke did once he stopped using the sword of Kusanagi. Or maybe this is the sword of Kusanagi and this is a different hilt. So that's why I was a little confused on the Orochimaru theory, because that was for his last sword. This is a new sword, which Sasuke started using in the Boruto era. Like I said, the other sword, he used that up until the end of the war. Now, he could have gone to Orochimaru for this sword too, but that's very unlikely. So I don't know if this sword has any ties to Orochimaru, and even if it did, what he can do to the sword and what Sumire can do is two different things. At this point, Sumire is way more relevant to the story, and not to say that Orochimaru is not relevant or he can't help. I'm just saying Sumire is tied to Amado, right? And Amado is tied to Otsutsuki DNA, Shibai cells, what's relevant in the story right now. And if the story wants to develop this character, it would make sense that Boruto goes to Sumire to fix his sword, you know what I mean? It's sort of like how a lot of fans can't let go of Kakashi. And I get it, Kakashi is an OG. You see characters like Sai make it back in Boruto, or Ino, Shikamaru, all these OG characters, right? But when Ikimoto is bringing these people into the story, they always have a big role to fill. We all know Ino's role was to act as a middleman for Shikamaru and Kashin Koji to start communicating, but that role quickly got shifted to Inojin, Ino's son, implementing a new gen character in the current plot of the story. Now, was that a good move? Of course it is. Of course it is. You can never go wrong with developing a character that was introduced in your story. Characters like Shigadai and Chocho, I expect them to get a heavy role too, but just not right now, of course. Like I said, I'm only saying that because of the Orochimaru theory. A lot of people are tying anything scientific to Orochimaru when that literally does not have to be the case. You have perfectly capable scientists in Amado and Sumire right there, and they fit the story better. They're able to do anything Orochimaru could do. Whatever you think Orochimaru could do right now, besides fighting of course, Amado and Sumire can do that. So like I said, if Kakashi is brought back into the story, he's going to have a meaningful role, and Ikimoto's not going to bring him back until he figures out how he can implement him into the story. Because I can tell you right now, it's not going to be the fight. It's just not. So if he finds a role for Kakashi other than fighting, he'll bring him back. But if not, he'll keep him out. Simple as that. Same goes for Orochimaru. Now, if these characters were to miraculously just join in the story at any point in time, will I be mad? No, I wouldn't be mad, because I love those characters and I grew up watching Naruto. You already know. I already told you guys. But I mean, I know how to let go. I know what Ikimoto is trying to build right now. And if those two characters don't fit that, then it's not much we can do.
So in essence, Orochimaru plays a fairly important role in relation to the sword if there are ever any issues such as damage and the like. Add to that some technology and such, and I'm sure Orochimaru remains a fairly relevant character if he has to provide support to fulfill his role in the time skip era. You probably also know that Orochimaru's appearance in the manga was when Mitsuki was created, and of course that was only at the beginning of the
Mitsuki.
chapter. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. But for some reason, Ikimoto choosing Sumire definitely wasn't without purpose. Whether it's a clue or a hint, I'm sure many of us have also suspected that this might be the first step. The moment where Sumire's love for Boruto slowly starts to find its way in. Yeah, you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean, but let's think right here. Let's think right here, guys. Nue, right? Nue, anime canon. If Ikimoto wanted to, he can implement that into the manga easily. The whole concept of negative chakra, and if you watch that arc, you know what negative chakra is. I'm not really gonna go into it, but Nue produces this negative chakra which affects people. It was shown to directly affect Boruto's Jougan, which is of Otsutsuki descent. So the negative chakra, or dark chakra, whatever you want to call it, it affects Boruto's body. It affects his genes, his DNA. Sumire is tied to Boruto's Otsutsuki side. Now, that's why I said whatever it is in that scroll, it has to do with Boruto's Otsutsuki power. Like I said several times on the channel, the manga takes things from the anime and implements it into the manga. It's not always so straightforward, and you should never take what's happening in the anime at face value. So like, just for a quick example, when Boruto developed a new Rasengan, the compression Rasengan, and then he used this new Rasengan to defeat a Kara member. That's the concept that you gotta stick with. Now, you don't look at it at face values and say, you know what, if he doesn't develop the compression Rasengan and literally show it in the manga, then it's false. No, just take the concept. Boruto developing a new Rasengan. This new Rasengan is the Uzuhiko, and he used it to defeat a former Kara member in code. That's the concept. Now, the concept can be the same here, which is just Sumire being able to influence or affect Boruto's Otsutsuki power. And I'm not gonna say too much because we're going to see it very soon. The story already set it up. That's why he went to Momoshiki, because in order for this upgrade to truly be affected, Boruto needs to be able to tap into his Otsutsuki side, being able to use the karma. And the only way he's able to use the karma is to go through Momoshiki. Like right now in the story, Boruto can whip off the karma whenever he wants to without the threat of Momoshiki taking over his body because they have an agreement. Until Jura is taken care of, lend me your power. Only after I kill him, then you can have my body. It's as simple as that.
After Sumire confessed in front of Ida and even Sarada that she loves Boruto, this scene felt like Ikimoto was actually giving us a chance to decide for ourselves. Who's more worth it to be Boruto's partner in the future? Sarada or Sumire?
I mean, I never said this, but let me know who you think Boruto should go for, Sarada or Sumire. I don't really get into all that. As for like the stands, I don't want to say it's for the girls because some guys do be really invested. But I guess if you want to go with the narrative, Sarada's the obvious choice. But if you want to take a different route, a route where everybody's like, oh my god, I didn't expect that, then I guess you should go with Sumire. They haven't even sat down and had a real heart-to-heart conversation, or a real conversation at that. So I guess Sarada's in the lead for now.
At the end of chapter 27, Boruto asks Sumire to repair his sword using the technology contained within that scroll. And regardless of what exactly is inside the scroll or how it works,
technology.
if Sumire really uses the technology based on it, then the sword will be reborn into something completely different. Now, at this point, of course, we can't help but wonder, what does completely different actually mean? Because to me, there are two possible interpretations that make sense. It could mean completely different in terms of the sword's abilities or completely different in terms of its form. You know what I mean, right? However,
actually, I don't think it's the form that changes. And a lot of you guys said it in my comment section, right? Let's just compare it to a Zanpakuto from Bleach, right? Let's say the sword gets some type of energy which makes it basically alive. Because in Bleach, Zanpakuto are basically alive. Like, they're an extension of the Soul Reaper. So that's what she meant by, like, it's not going to be the same. It's not going to be an ordinary sword. And obviously, she'll be right in saying that. Or, maybe it can have the power to change form if necessary. But I think it's the properties of the sword being changed. It's not going to be a sword anymore. More like a scientific ninja weapon. Scientific ninja tool, however you want to say it. I'm 90% sure, like, his Boruto sword is classified as a scientific ninja weapon. And if it's the current theme of the Boruto story, we're moving into a time that's way past the Naruto era. Shinobi are starting to innovate, develop new technology that can help them with their missions. Science is a big topic in the Boruto series, and to see Boruto, our main protagonist, using, or maybe not using, but being a product of the times he lives in, is very suiting to the story. I mean, he did it once back in the tuning exams. Remember, he cheated, got his headband snatched and all that. But now it would be different because, like, as Boruto said, it's just how you use it. He's not using it in a way where it would, like, affect his soul as a shinobi. That still remains. That was the whole point Sasuke was trying to make. It's okay to use this technology as long as the soul of a shinobi stays intact. And as long as that happens, sure, you can implement some technology in the series. That's cool,
I believe most people would assume that in the end, the sword will change entirely, both in form and in power. But let's say that really happens, and the sword does become completely different, just as Sumire said. Then what about the sword at the beginning of the episode? Logically, if the sword changed completely, then the sword at the beginning of the episode wouldn't have changed as Sumire meant.
Yeah,
right? Or
basically.
Put, if the result of the repair made Boruto's sword.
But I might be reaching here. But you see how, like, and I'm pretty sure 99% of the people who's watching this video has seen the clip where Boruto and Kawaki are fighting on top of the Hokage monument. When he kind of lifted up his sword, the Jougan, and then the karma activated. Now I might be reaching, but then again, I might not be reaching, I might be spitting. If that has to do with something about, this karma resonating with the sword, then hey,
If we compare the sword at the beginning of the episode with the sword in the last few chapters, there isn't such a significant change, right? Does that mean the sword at the beginning of the episode was wrong? Or perhaps the scene at the beginning of the episode wasn't actually real? Oh yeah, shout out to Masanobu. If you have anything like theories and such, please use the hashtag AskNim, just to make it easier for me. But anyway,
yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Pointing to the scene in the first episode, there are at least a few points to answer this question. First, as I said before, most likely the complete change that Sumire meant is not what we think. That means after the sword is upgraded, the result will be the same as Boruto's sword at the beginning of the episode. In other words, the upgrade is only in terms of internal capabilities and not the external form. Because we need to remember, the sword has been modified to make it easier for Sasuke to channel some chakra and techniques to their fullest potential. So by only strengthening it from the inside.
Yeah, and essentially you'll always have some type of energy running through the blade if the changes are internal like he's saying. Then the main problem for Boruto, which is basically using Hagoromo, where he, constantly has to encase his blade with his chakra, he won't have to do that anymore. Like I said, the blade is going to be alive. It's going to have his whole chakra network and all of that. Essentially, that's what it means. But hey, we'll see.
The external appearance remains the same, but its function and capabilities change completely and are certainly more effective when used by Boruto. Second, the scene in episode 1 is not final. In fact, the scene in the first episode is a scene that Kashin Koji saw through Jippo. In other words, if during the mission to reach the future determined by Koji, Boruto makes a move outside of the plan to make the future even more branching, then the end result will lead to the worst possible outcome as seen in the first episode. Because in my opinion, both Boruto and Kashin Koji have their own priorities. Boruto, as the singularity of fate, has recently been making instinctive decisions that Koji would probably consider quite fatal, such as revealing Kawaki's limiter power and going to the battlefield in the Land of Wind.
He liked that move, though. He didn't care about that one.
Koji stated that this would lead to a worse future.
Yeah, even though he stated that that move was low-key dangerous because it made Mamushi take action, Mamushi was probably going to take action sometime anyway. So let's not really think too much on that one. All in all, that was a good move because first and foremost, you save a life, right? Konohamaru, he stays alive, boom, bob, bing. You get everyone back to Konoha using the FTG technique. Boom, that's another thing. And Sarada still has her MS awakened. So that's a really good move by Boruto, I won't lie. Koji has no reason to be mad at that specifically. But I did like the fact that he brought up the two separate timelines or two different ways each character is influencing the timeline. You know what I'm saying? Hey, we've been preaching that for the past couple of months. So I'm happy other people are starting to take notice.
Unfortunately, it actually created and led to a more complicated future branch. And in fact, Mamushi's invasion of Konoha in the next chapter is also a result of Boruto's own actions. Isn't that right? Because once again, Mamushi's actions are a result of Boruto's actions, which he believes have caused the future to branch out.
Yeah, that is.
And if the scene in the first episode,
but that might have happened anyway. Like, come on, that was gonna happen anyway.
Then the reason is quite simple, and I'm sure you all agree, because at least the ability to see several probabilities that will happen in the future was just revealed in chapter 13. We also know that with the revelation of this ability, Ikemoto will definitely have more options to bend or reverse scenes that have already happened. Moreover, the scene in the first episode is a cliffhanger without providing a clear enough context, right? So, in conclusion, Boruto's sword will most likely change completely in form and ability. But if you still ask why the sword in the first scene is the same as it was at the beginning of the time skip, it's most likely a timeline scene, as I said earlier. Second, Boruto's sword changes completely based solely on its abilities, which are certainly more relevant to Boruto's own abilities. Because in reality, when it comes to abilities and power, I'm sure we all agree that Boruto has surpassed Sasuke. This means that in terms of ability
pretty easily,
Boruto is superior to Sasuke. And to support Boruto's strength and ability, the sword will be reborn in a completely different version, but with the same shape, only more compatible with Boruto's own abilities.
And let's just keep it a buck. That's Boruto's sword now, man. Could y'all see Sasuke coming into the story or coming back into the story and be like, you know what? Hey, let me get my sword back. No, that's Boruto's sword now. So Ikemoto is right to make it Boruto's sword, making it synchronized with his Otsutsuki abilities and all that. Like, it's basically a rebrand. You're taking a sword that was introduced with a non-Otsutsuki character and upgrading it so it fits an Otsutsuki character better. You know, it's as easy as that, fellas. Come on.
But if I had to choose, for some reason, option number one is the one I think is most relevant. And yeah, the reason is because of Jippo's abilities. Moreover, the scene in the first episode doesn't explain the context, meaning it's just a scene left hanging for fans to make wild assumptions and perspectives.
Yeah, it is.
But in the end, this is just an analysis and theory.
But like I said, I really think the sword has to do with Boruto's Jougan, or it's going to affect Boruto's Otsutsuki power and possibly make it easier to awaken. Now, I could be wrong, but of course it's just speculation, because at this point I'm pretty stubborn when it comes to like thinking this scroll or the scroll that Boruto gave Sumire has to do something with Boruto's abilities. And maybe not Boruto's abilities specifically, but Momoshiki's abilities. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Really good video by Sharkname. I just doubled down on everything I know. I pretty much got next chapter mapped out. Like I said, Boruto is gonna come up big in this next arc. All the seeds he planted is going to sprout. The Karma Seal, Boruto's new blade, all that is gonna come into fruition very soon, and I can't wait. I can't wait. So take it from me, he's gonna be at the top of the throne again. That's the strongest. Maybe not stronger than Jura, but there's gonna be a clear gap between him and the rest of his peers. So anyway, that's gonna be it for this video anyway. Like I said before, Sharkname, I'm gonna leave the link to his channel down below in the description. So make sure you guys go check him out, you know, maybe leave a like, subscribe to him, really good content creator. But yeah, let me know what you think, right? How is the sword going to affect Boruto? Is it going to affect his Otsutsuki abilities? Is it gonna awaken the Jougan for him? Let me know all your thoughts in the comment section before chapter 28 drops. Like I said, the hot takes video will be out very, very soon. So definitely have that to look forward to. But anyway, if you enjoyed this video and wouldn't mind seeing more like this in the near future, go ahead and leave a like, comment, subscribe, and turn on those post notifications so you know whenever I upload or go live for chapter spoilers, which is gonna be very soon. And until my next one, I'm gonna see you boys and girls later, and I'm out. Peace.